You know what? If there's anything that has been just so consistent throughout the course of this game's life, no matter how many ups and downs it's hit, no matter how bad of a state this game has been in, the music has just remained perfect. Absolutely perfect. I mean, everybody wants to credit Marty O'Donnell for the original score, but Michael Salvatore, the things that he has done with this game's music is just, it's on another level. It really, really is on another level. It's absolutely wonderful, and I never get sick of it. I can't wait to talk more about the music as we go through this game. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to more Let's Play Destiny. Last episode was the recap. It was not a fun episode to record. It was a lot of explaining, and I apologize. I'm sure that episode was hard to get through if you got through it at all. If you didn't, well, then we are here. We are going to be starting the Forsaken, or I guess resuming the Forsaken expansion today. But before we do that, we are here in the tower for a very specific reason. Forsaken is pretty much the only expansion that got majorly hit by sunsetting, by vaulting from Bungie. This is when they decided to get rid of some content in the game because it was bloating things up too much. It wasn't being played a lot, and they got rid of it. The Tangled Shore was vaulted with the release of the Witch Queen expansion early in 2022. And because of that, the Forsaken campaign is no longer playable. So, if you're to buy the Forsaken campaign now, what do you get exactly? Well, that's a very, very good question. You get, and I'm not kidding you when I say this, and we can actually kind of go down here and take a look at it, you get access to more than 20 Forsaken exotic weapons, the Shattered Throne Dungeon, the Last Wish Raid. You also get 3 Forsaken ciphers to instantly unlock any 3 Forsaken exotic weapons of their choosing, raid and dungeon weapons excluded. So you get a raid, you get a dungeon, and you get 3 free exotic weapons. That's it. Luckily, Forsaken goes on sale a lot these days. In fact, most of the old expansions, Beyond Light and prior, tend to go on sale a lot. And I'm sure Witch Queen will start to go on sale a lot throughout the year with Lightfall as well. You can pick Forsaken for as cheap as, I've seen it as low as like $6. So in that case, it's not really that bad. But the actual location, the only location that is still left in the Forsaken campaign is none other than the Dreaming City. Now, the Dreaming City itself is actually quite the location, and that's where we're going to be spending the next several episodes. I mean, several episodes. We got a whole bunch of Forsaken content to get through, but before we do that, I actually purchased those 3 Forsaken ciphers for this particular Let's Play. We have 3, so we can get 3 free exotics. So why don't we do that today? Let's start, and I like how they say 20. It's not 20 in here. There are other ones available, but it's, yeah, I mean, it's a little complicated. They're also including exotic armor pieces as well, which there are several of those, and all of those can be obtained either through Xur or just through drops and other various means. So it's really down to what is this, like 10 weapons or something like that? Now, these 2 weapons are unavailable to us because they are raid weapons. That's not to say we can't still get them, but you need what are called Spoils of Conquest, which is a currency that is only gotten by playing raids. This is also true with the Sparrow, which this Sparrow is a very unique Sparrow because it's the fastest Sparrow in the entire game and also takes less damage than any Sparrow in the entire game. It's one of a kind, and for some reason, some people think it's worth spending Spoils of Conquest on. You know what? It probably is, and I'm definitely underselling it because this is a very nice tool for people who like to solo content. But we're focused on all of these. Now, I already have Ace of Spades because in those videos I deleted that I talked about in the last episode, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I recorded Forsaken stuff and deleted it because it didn't turn out well. That included the Ace of Spades quest. This was a quest that was given to you after finishing the campaign to go and get Cayde 6's hand cannon, which is this. I already have it, so I don't need to worry about that. That leaves us with the last word, reprised from Destiny 1, Le Monarque, Jotun, or Jotun, excuse me, that's not how you pronounce it, Izanagi's Burden, Thorn, reprised from Destiny 1, Lumina, Truth, reprised from Destiny 1, and Bad Juju, reprised from Destiny 1. These all had quests associated with them, and some of these were like drops from specific activities, but for the most part, they typically tie special exotics to quests now. Now, I'm going to be very upfront here. Some of these are better than others. The last word is, by and large, a PvP weapon. It has its uses in PvE, especially if you spec into it with a certain exotic known as Lucky Pants, which actually makes hand cannon damage really, really strong. And because of how fast this one fires, it maximizes the damage pretty much the best of any gun in the game. But aside from that, really wouldn't recommend using it under most circumstances. You can also see some of its ornaments down here, but for the most part, I'm going to be passing on that. Next, we have Le Monarque, and I'm just going to be right up front. I'm getting this bow. I am getting this bow. This is one of the best weapons in the entire game. This thing, when perfectly drawn, will shoot poison arrows. This will do damage over time to any enemies, but if you hit a precision shot with it, it will cause a poison explosion that also poisons everything around the target. It's really freaking good. It's also a beautiful bow. I mean, look at that with the ornament. Oh my gosh, I love this thing. We are absolutely going to be getting that one as our first pick. You would be stupid not to get it. I think, in fact, aside from these two weapons, it is the best weapon in this entire bunch, unquestionably. Then we have Jotun. Jotun is a fusion rifle that fires a single projectile shot that homes in on targets. It's actually relatively high damage, because if you know the way fusion rifles work, they shoot out in sort of a spray pattern, and to maximize their damage, all of those bullets need to hit. Jotun is like a single concentrated bullet, which means it's always maximizing damage as long as it hits. It is actually relatively easy to dodge so long as you're paying attention to it. And yes, even PvE enemies can dodge this thing from time to time, so you have to be very careful with how you use it. But it is overall a pretty low maintenance, high damage fusion rifle that is relatively good. It also causes some burn on impact if it doesn't immediately kill something. Then we have Izanagi's Burden. Izanagi's Burden is a kinetic sniper rifle that allows you to combine all of the bullets into its magazine into a single powerful shot. Now, this can be with any amount of rounds, 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1, it's going to do base damage, but you can do it with 2 for double damage, 3 for triple damage, or 4 for 4 times damage. I'm speaking in relative terms because that's not exactly how the numbers work out, but to maximize its damage, you can put the entire magazine into one shot. This is a very high damage, high risk, high reward sniper rifle that is pretty darn good for taking care of bosses and extremely good for taking care of big pain in the ass targets. Very beautiful weapon. It also has some really cool ornaments. I want to show that one a little better. It's just a giant sword. I've also got this one here as well, and then my personal favorite, which is Ronin. Then we have Thorn. Thorn, reprised once again from Destiny 1, behaves a little bit differently. In Destiny 1, you'd shoot something and it would do damage over time. It also had over-penetrating mounds. In this game, it still does that, but to maximize the damage over time, once you kill something, it will leave things called remnants. They're these little green floating orbs, and you need to pick up those remnants to give yourself a timer. During that timer, that active timer, the damage over time will be significantly increased. Now, it has a little bit of an effect in PvP, but in PvE, it's a very strong effect. Every time you pick up a remnant, it resets this timer, which basically makes Thorn a pretty darn good killing machine, if I could be completely honest. It's a little underrated, I would say, in the damage department. Oh, and on top of that, every time you pick up a remnant, it partially refills your magazine, so you don't have to reload this thing very often. Then we have Lumina. Lumina is a hand cannon that you should only ever use if you plan on doing a lot of fire team-based activities. It is just a normal hand cannon for the most part, but with teammates around, you can really maximize this thing's potential. So much like Thorn, it will also drop remnants, but these are positive remnants. These do not degrade health, they actually give health. Every single time you pick up a remnant, you can hip fire to shoot out as effectively heals. This is a healing weapon. You shoot it at teammates, it heals them, gives them some health. If they're already fully healed, it gives them overcharge with shields, and it also will give them a bit of a damage boost. On top of that, if you heal a teammate, you will be given the same timer that also increases your own damage. And much like with Thorn, the rounds will partially refill your magazine. Then we have Truth. Truth behaves exactly the same way it did in Destiny 1. It has incredibly aggressive tracking. It has horseshoes and hand grenades, which means it has good proximity detonation, so it's very hard to miss. And it is also the only rocket launcher in the entirety of Destiny 2 that can hold 3 rockets in its magazine. That was very common in Destiny 1. In Destiny 2, they have completely done away with that. Almost nothing has more than 1 rocket, in fact. It's very, very uncommon for them to have more than 1. And lastly, but not leastly, we have Bad Juju. And Bad Juju, again, behaves similarly to how it does in Destiny 1, except in Destiny 1, when you would kill something with Bad Juju, it would give you a small damage boost for a while, it would refill your magazine, and it would generate super energy more. It also fires in full auto. This game, it does the exact same thing, but it goes up in stacks. So you kill one enemy, it gives you String of Curses ×1. You kill another enemy while that's active, it goes up to ×2. If you can get all the way to the ×5 buff and maintain that, it makes this thing a lot stronger, refills super energy a lot faster, and you can constantly keep firing over and over and over again. It's basically a rampage weapon. You are meant to go through lots of enemies very quickly with this thing, as efficiently and as quickly as possible. It has 2 ornaments, which unfortunately were both released when the gun came out, and it hasn't gotten a new one since, but I still absolutely love this weapon. We are going to be grabbing 2 other weapons, and that is going to be Bad Juju, because this thing is my baby, and it's very good. Although I would say it doesn't stand out as good in this game as it did in Destiny 1. It has a lot more competition this time around. In Destiny 1, it definitely felt more overpowered. Now, if this wasn't a mostly solo Let's Play, I would pick Lumina. But because of the fact that it's not, I am actually going to go with Jotun. You're probably wondering, why Jotun? Well, because it's fun, and I can't wait to actually show it off. Now, there is actually one more exotic I could go get right now, but I'm going to save that for a little bit later, because Xur's here all weekend. I'm going to be recording a lot of episodes this weekend. We're going to finally head to the Dreaming City, and this is still going to be a little bit of a longer episode than normal. I apologize, just because I wanted to get that start. You can see here, the Awakening campaign mission still exists, but it is not the whole campaign. This is just the mission you play to get into the Dreaming City if you haven't been here already. We're going to head to the only location you can spawn directly in, which is the Duvalian Mists. I still wish they would add another spawn point in this area, but they never did, and it kind of sucks. Okay, so after Forsaken ended, we defeated Prince Uldren, we defeated the giant tentacly meatball monster, and that was it. After the fact, we get access to the Dreaming City, which is the home of the Awoken. This is the quote-unquote endgame of Forsaken, but is pretty much the second half of the expansion. Now, we are starting this on the week that we're supposed to be starting on, which is week 1. And if you're probably wondering what that means, it's been like, 150 weeks since Forsaken came out, 180 weeks. Week 1 is called Weak Curse, or the Weak Curse week, if that makes sense. When I say weak, I mean like frail, not very powerful curse. Everything looks beautiful. It's the Dreaming City, completely intact. Nothing seems in disarray. We got Scorn all around the place. Not really any other types of enemies. No Hive, no Taken. It's mostly just kind of Scorn around here. This is what you can expect once every 3 weeks in the Dreaming City, because this city works a little bit differently from every other location in the game. Now, there's a couple of points of reference that I want to talk about, and we're going to be heading off to the first one, which is Petra Venj. She is the vendor here in the Dreaming City, much like any other location. She has bounties, she has quests, and she has some things that we're going to want to pick up before we do anything here. But at the very least, I want to show us going that way so you can see the city in about half of its glory. Well, maybe not even that, maybe like a third of its glory. There are 3 major areas: the Duvalian Mists, the Asterian, is it the Asterian Abyss? Is that what it's called? Hold on, I need to look this up before I jump ahead. The Rhea Silvia, and then the Strand are the 3 locations in the Dreaming City, and then the 3 major ones, I should say, the 3 patrol zones where you can get yourself quests and things like that done. Of course, like any other location, there are also lost sectors, and there are other little stuff that you can do. There's also a repeatable activity here in the Dreaming City, and then there is finally the actual hidden missions themselves. Now, see this right here, this marker? This marker right here is associated with any beginner quests, and that is because if you talk to Petrovenge on a brand new character, she will give you this: Restless Slumber. You set foot on hallowed ground, Guardian. Take care to remember that in your efforts here. Petrovenge watches you with a steely gaze from her uncovered eye. The knife levitating above her hand flips and twirls nonchalantly. I swore an oath to aid my queen, and loath as I am to see this place tread upon by outsiders, I cannot refuse your help. The Taken and Scorn have run amok, and I don't have enough Corsairs to cover the territory. Do what you can against the corruption, but keep your guard up. Dark forces are at play here. You have to complete public events, lost sectors, and bounties in the Dreaming City to start this quest. Now we get into all the things that she has available here. So, we've got 2 quests: Broken Courier and War for the Dreaming City. These are weekly quests. Broken Courier is associated with the week curse. War for the Dreaming City is every single week, but you have to actually complete it, otherwise it resets on you. So we're going to grab both of those. Then we have our available bounties. Now, there are no repeatable bounties in the Dreaming City. There are the 5 daily bounties, which I already have 2 of them because I picked up a couple yesterday. And then there are a few more that I can get. Challenge the Shattered, Lost in Rhea Silvia. These 4 right here are very standard bounties. The 5th one is the interesting one. This is typically a specific challenge that you have to do. Today it is the Shattered, where we have to locate Toland. Now, if you remember Toland from the Awakening mission, he is exemplified by a little flashing orb of light. I'll show him off when we actually have the chance to meet him, but doing so will finish this bounty and actually get me a legendary piece of Dreaming City equipment, whether it's armor or a weapon. Then you have these 2 right here. So I can't get Gateway Between Worlds just yet because I don't have enough Dark Fragments for it. Dark Fragments are a currency that can only be gotten in the Dreaming City by doing various activities: opening chests, completing public events, doing patrols, doing the Blind Well, etc., etc., etc. We'll be getting this a little bit later, and we'll be using it when we actually do the Blind Well. Then there is this, the Ascendant Challenge. This is a weekly bounty that is tied to a specific week. There are, I believe, 7 of these Ascendant Challenges. I could be wrong, it might be 9, but I'm pretty sure it's 7. Now, the Ascendant Challenge is actually done based on the hint inside the tooltip. You see, the Awoken have long practiced the art of walking between worlds. That is the bounty flavor text. But if you look down below the checkbox, you see a quote from Toland the Shattered. Drown in your wishes, dear Squanderer. Keep that in mind. We will be referencing that back later. We have a couple of consumables here. These 4 consumables right here are for the Blind Well activity. Ignore these 2. Tier 2, Tier 1, unimportant. Don't bother with these. The only 2 you should care about are Tier 3 and Unstable Charges of Light. These used to be got with Dark Fragments, which sucked because you could only hold 200 Dark Fragments at a time. Now they are purchasable with Glimmer. I'm going to be grabbing a couple of those so that I can use those in future. I have 3 of each, so I should be good to go. You also used to be able to get raid banners only exclusively through Petrovenge, which is why they are here, but they later added them to Hawthorne, which is why she has those. You also have Material Exchange. I don't know why Charge of Light Tier 2 is also over here. But then we have these, Tinctures of Queen's Foil. I'm actually going to grab a couple of these. Now, these can be gotten from random drops around the city. They do occasionally appear as event rewards, but it is good to always have a couple of these on hand because you need these to access the Ascendant Challenge. Now we can look at the greater map as a whole. So our 3 main areas, Devalian Mists, the Strand, Rhea Silvia. Very, very simple. Here is the Blind Well, and it's actually not between the Strand and Rhea Silvia. It's actually over by the Devalian Mists. I'll explain that a little bit later. We also have 3 lost sectors, Chamber of Starlight, Aphelian's Rest, and then Bay of Drowned Wishes. What's that? Remember the quest that we picked up a minute ago? Drown in your wishes, dear Squanderer. So yeah, the Ascendant Challenge that we're going to be doing is in the Bay of Drowned Wishes, so we'll be getting to that in a little bit. There's also some other things here, a couple of strikes. We'll be doing those in due time. The raid up here, and then a dungeon, the Shattered Throne. All of this is important, but there are also some extraneous locations that are actually beyond the bounds of the Strand, Devalian Mists, and Rhea Silvia that we'll have to worry about a little bit later. But that is actually going to be it for this episode, guys, because next episode is when we're actually going to be jumping on into that stuff. I'm also going to take the time to explain Hunter a little bit more to you guys so you understand what this subclass is all about, why I picked it, why I like it so much, and what we're going to be expecting out of it for the foreseeable future. So, guys, thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this episode very much, and I will see you all in the next one.